Recently, NASA published new images of Comet 3I Atlas, and, to be honest, they revealed perhaps the strangest anomaly we've seen so far. The photographs show an ejection of material directed in a way that cannot be explained by conventional comet physics. And we're not talking about the solar jet we observed before. In this video, I'll break down what the new images show and why Avi thinks this might be the long-awaited evidence many have been waiting for. On October 2nd, 3I Atlas flew past Mars at a distance of approximately 29 million kilometers. By cosmic standards, that's almost a close pass. NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter is in orbit around Mars, equipped with the HiRISE camera, essentially the most powerful spy eye humanity has ever sent to another planet. As 3I Atlas approached, NASA turned this camera away from Mars and pointed it directly at the mysterious visitor. We waited over a month for the data to be processed and published. And now that the images are out, they reveal what we couldn't see from Earth. From Earth, we observe the object from one fixed angle, but the camera at Mars was looking at it from a completely different perspective. As a result, we got a side view that didn't exist before. This view showed that the strange jet we saw in previous images wasn't behaving as it seemed. For several months, the images showed a jet seemingly directed towards the Sun. When Hubble photographed the object in July, the comet was still approaching the star, and its direction of flight almost coincided with the direction towards the Sun. So, seeing a jet pointing forward in its direction of motion, we thought, perhaps it's some unusual reaction to solar heating? But by the time the new images were taken, the orientation relative to the Sun and the direction of motion had changed significantly. The HiRISE camera captured everything from a new angle, and it became clear what was really happening. The jet isn't pointing towards or away from the Sun. It's directed strictly sideways, at a right angle. Meanwhile, the solar jet is still present and stretched forward along the trajectory of motion. A jet is a stream of gas erupting from the comet's nucleus, while the tail is the remnants of ejected material trailing behind. Jets and tails are influenced by three main factors: heating by sunlight, solar radiation pressure, and the solar wind. And note, they all originate from the Sun. When sunlight heats areas of the icy surface, the ice sublimates, turning into gas, which is ejected towards the source of the light. If a jet is directed towards the Sun, that's a standard effect of solar heating. Radiation pressure works differently. Photons, hitting dust particles ejected by the comet, push them away from the Sun. Therefore, dust tails are always oriented strictly in the anti-solar direction, away from the Sun, regardless of the comet's direction of travel. And gas tails, formed by the solar wind, are also always stretched away from the Sun. So, all natural forces capable of influencing jets and tails are of solar origin. But if a jet is directed at a 90-degree angle to the Sun, it means that neither light, nor wind, nor heating can be its cause. Nature simply has no mechanism that can form such a structure. One might argue, what if it's not strictly transverse? What if it's not 90 degrees, but some intermediate value? But the point is that the angles have been verified. The jet is indeed oriented almost perfectly perpendicular. And this isn't a minor detail. The jet is thousands of kilometers long, maintaining its shape and direction over a vast distance, all while the comet is moving. Such stable collimated structures are not created naturally. Comets rotate. Maybe the jet was initially solar heated, but the rotation of the nucleus simply turned it to the side. That does happen. And on some comets,
we see spiral structures.
When a jet from a rotating body shifts, it forms arcs and curls, like a stream of water from a rotating sprinkler. But 3I Atlas has a rotation period of about 16 hours, and if that were the case, we would see spirals or bends. However, the image shows a smooth, straight jet maintaining its direction, as if fixed in one position despite the rotation. For this to be possible, the ejection source would have to be constantly active and always oriented strictly perpendicular to the Sun. This would require incredibly precise geometry that somehow isn't disrupted by rotation. Such a scenario simply doesn't fit conventional physics. Hence Avi's conclusion: maintaining such a direction requires active control. Over years of research, people have observed thousands of comets and all sorts of tail variations, forked, curved, broken off, or seemingly directed towards the Sun due to perspective. But a confirmed transverse jet has never been observed. Every time it seemed we saw something similar, a change in viewing angle or planetary motion showed that the jet was actually oriented relative to the Sun, and the observer was simply mistaken. The uniqueness of the HiRISE image is that Mars was in the perfect position to see the real three-dimensional geometry. The camera was looking from the side, while the Sun was in a completely different direction. There can be no optical illusions here. The jet is truly at a right angle. Different comets have demonstrated complex behavior. For example, the disintegrated Shoemaker-Levy 9 showed peculiar tails, but they were all oriented according to solar laws. Hale-Bopp had several active areas, and everything was explained by the ordinary physics of heating a rotating surface. Oumuamua didn't show any jets at all, which sparked debates. But 3I Atlas is demonstrating something fundamentally new. Avi hypothesizes about the object's technological nature, and although I disagree with that, I think NASA should be more attentive and honest about the features that currently lack explanations, rather than limiting themselves to the obvious facts. If you've made it this far, share your theories about what's happening with 3I Atlas and how you assess the latest discovered anomaly after NASA's long silence. And of course, support the video with a like. Wishing you a great day.